You ever pretend your birthday doesn't matter, just so it hurts less when no one remembers? That was me this year. Again. Third time it's happened, and somehow it still stung. No texts, no calls, not even a lazy HBD in the group chat. Just silence. While everyone else posted stories of brunches, parties, and crazy busy days, I was invisible. So I made a decision. One they wouldn't forget. Some might call it dramatic. I call it therapeutic. Because this time, when they tried to show up for dinner without me, I owned the place. Literally. You'd think after a few years of being disappointed, I'd lower my expectations, right? That I'd stop caring so much. But birthdays have always meant something to me. Maybe because growing up, they were the one day I felt like I was allowed to take up space. To be celebrated. To matter. I have this group, friends I've known for years. We hang out all the time. Talk almost daily. We've been through breakups, new jobs, wild nights, and silent crying fits in parked cars. The kind of friendships where you'd assume birthdays are a given. A celebration. A no-brainer. But somehow, mine always slipped through the cracks. Last year was the worst. They made this huge deal about planning something big for me, talked about it for weeks. We're gonna go all out, they said. Just trust us. So I didn't plan anything for myself. I waited. The day came. One person said they were sick. Another said work ran late. Then radio silence. No one showed. I ended up eating leftovers in sweatpants while watching them post from a rooftop bar the next day for someone else's birthday. And the year before that, a friend hijacked the dinner I had quietly planned for myself, turned it into a group therapy session about her ex, cried through dessert, and left me with a check. She even said, "Sorry for making your day about me," but still kept talking about herself all the way to the Uber. That's when it started to hit me. This wasn't an accident. It was a pattern. I'd show up for their birthdays with gifts, cards, and reservations. I'd hype them up in group chats. I once helped plan a surprise brunch that included custom cupcakes and a Polaroid wall. But when it came to me, I was lucky if I got a "wait, your birthday's today?" It's wild how easy it is to justify being forgotten. They're busy. It's not a big deal. Maybe I didn't remind them. I started laughing it off, making jokes about it. I'm too old for birthdays anyway, I'd say. Or, honestly, I love being low-key. But the truth was, it hurt. Every time. I started expecting disappointment. Every year, I'd wake up hoping someone would break the cycle. That just one person would remember without needing a calendar notification. That I'd finally matter enough. But each year chipped away a little more at that hope. It's funny, in a sad way, how you can be surrounded by people and still feel invisible. And when you feel invisible long enough, you start fading even to yourself. I began telling myself I didn't care. That I was better off. That birthdays were childish. But really, I just got tired of being the only one clapping at my own party. By this year, I wasn't even mad. I was numb. I didn't expect anything. I didn't drop hints. I didn't send reminders. I just waited. And I watched. Watched their posts, their dinners, their laughter. None of it directed at me. That kind of silence, it's loud. Loud enough to make you snap. Or finally wake up. And that's exactly what happened. This year, I promised myself I wouldn't care. I really did. No expectations, no waiting around for a text, no checking my phone every 5 minutes. I even made a little joke in the group chat the night before, something dumb like, "Welp, turning another year older tomorrow. Someone light a candle in my honor." I added a laughing emoji to keep it casual, like I wasn't hoping for a response. But no one replied. When I woke up, I checked my phone out of habit. Nothing. Not even a generic happy birthday from the group. I stared at the screen for a minute, then tossed it aside like it didn't bother me. Spoiler, it did. Still, I played it cool. Told myself maybe they were busy. Maybe they were planning something. Maybe they were going to surprise me later in the day. You know, those little lies you tell yourself to cushion the fall you know is coming. Around noon, I cracked. I sent a message. Something light. Anyone want to grab dinner tonight? Again, nothing. Just read receipts. No reply, no double tap, no, sorry, can't tonight. Just digital silence. I made myself lunch, sat on the couch, and tried to distract myself with a show I wasn't even watching. At some point, I opened Instagram. That's when I saw it. One of the girls in the group had posted a boomerang, cheers ing with wine glasses. The caption, "Can't wait for dinner tonight. It's been too long." Wine glass sparkles, and I recognized the background immediately. The bar counter. The tile. The soft lighting. It was my favorite restaurant. My spot. The one I always talked about. The one I introduced them to. And they were all going there. Without me. On my birthday. I scrolled down, piecing it together. A few of them had commented back and forth. See you at 7. Craving that pasta already. It wasn't even subtle. They were making dinner plans, on the group thread, without me. I didn't cry. I didn't even feel sad. Not really. I just sat there, hollow. That was the moment something clicked. Not a breakdown. More like a decision. Quiet. Firm. If they didn't want to celebrate me, I'd make sure they never forgot me again. It was like this wave of anger and sadness crashed over me at the same time. Not the loud kind of anger. The quiet kind. The kind that sits in your chest and whispers, "This will never change. They're never going to see you." And maybe, for the first time, I finally believed it. I picked up my phone, staring at the restaurant's Instagram page for a second. Then I just called. I didn't even know what I was planning to say. The hostess answered, all chipper and polite, and I asked if there was a reservation under a certain name, one of the girls from the group. "Yep," she said. "Party of 6 at 7 p.m. Of course. Then I asked, trying to sound casual, "Hey, is the whole restaurant booked tonight, or are there still tables available?" She said it was filling up, but there were still openings, unless someone wanted to rent the place privately. There was a pause on the line, and I could feel my pulse in my ears. And then I heard myself ask, how much would it be to book the whole place, just for tonight? There was a longer pause. She transferred me to the manager. I thought about hanging up, but I didn't. We talked numbers. It was more than I'd ever spent on anything spontaneous, definitely not pocket change. But it wasn't impossible. I had some savings. I could move a few things around. And so, I said yes. I don't even remember the exact moment I gave them my card details. It felt like I was watching myself from the outside, like some unhinged character in a movie. But once it was done, I felt something I hadn't felt all day: control. They wanted dinner at my favorite place? Cool. Now they could watch from the sidewalk. I booked the place under my own name. Just me. No table numbers, no +1s listed. The entire restaurant. Mine for the night. After I hung up the phone, I sat there for a while, letting the silence settle again. But this time it felt different. Not empty. Not lonely. More like a clean slate. I didn't send a single message to the group. No passive-aggressive texts. No dramatic announcements. Just silence. The same silence they gave me. Then I got up, opened my closet, and started pulling things out. I picked the outfit I'd been saving. You know the one. The just in case I ever need to feel unstoppable outfit. That one. I laid it out on the bed like I was preparing for a date with someone I actually liked. Me. Next, I called a bakery I love. Asked if they had any cakes ready. Not a sheet cake. Something elegant, something ridiculous. I didn't care what flavor. I just wanted it to have my name on it. Happy birthday to me, I said. She laughed. I didn't. For a second, I thought about inviting people. Newer friends. A couple coworkers who'd mentioned wanting to hang out. But I didn't want to fill the room just to prove I wasn't alone. I didn't need to perform happiness for anyone. I decided if no one showed, I'd still show up for myself. I'd sit at the head of that empty dining room, light my own candle, and make a toast to the person who never bails, me. As I got ready, I could feel something shifting. There was still hurt, sure. I wasn't above that. But it was quieter now, replaced by this sharp, clean sense of clarity. I looked in the mirror while applying mascara, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel invisible. I looked like someone worth remembering, someone worth celebrating. By the time I slipped on my shoes and grabbed my coat, I wasn't nervous anymore. I wasn't even angry. I was just ready. Ready to walk into my own story, not as the forgotten side character, but as the lead. Tonight wasn't going to be about them. It was going to be about me. I got to the restaurant early. The sky was starting to turn that soft gold, the kind that makes everything look cinematic, like it knows something big is about to happen. The staff greeted me like I was royalty, because tonight, I kind of was. I confirmed the reservation, walked the space with the manager, and watched as the tables were cleared and set just for me. The playlist I requested was already playing low in the background. It felt surreal. Like stepping into a version of my life where I didn't have to beg for a seat at the table. I took a deep breath, let the moment soak in, then stepped outside to wait. Not for them, but for the timing. Right on cue, around 6:55, I saw them. The group. My group. Or, the people I used to call friends. They walked up laughing, phones out, dressed like it was just another Friday night. I stayed across the street, hidden just enough to watch without being seen. One of them approached the hostess and gave the name on the reservation. She smiled politely. "I'm so sorry, that reservation's been canceled. The restaurant is closed tonight for a private event." Confusion rippled through them. Another stepped up, asking if there'd been a mistake. The hostess stayed calm. "No mistake. The full space is booked." They turned to each other, bewildered. I could almost hear the gears turning in their heads. One of them pointed at the window, recognizing the table they usually loved. Then another one spotted the birthday cake on display inside. My cake. That was my cue. I crossed the street slowly, heels clicking on the sidewalk like punctuation. I didn't rush. I didn't smile. I just walked past them, straight to the entrance, nodded at the hostess, and placed a hand on the door. I could feel their eyes on me, the silence thick with the kind of disbelief that only happens when you realize you're not the main character in someone else's story anymore. I paused at the door, turned around slowly, caught their stunned expressions. And then, with a small, controlled smile, I said, "Oh hey. Guess I forgot to mention, I own the night now." They just stared. One of them let out a weird half-laugh. Another looked like she wanted to melt into the sidewalk. Someone finally said, "Wait, are you serious?" And one of the guys, the one who always forgot my name when introducing me to others, tried to smooth it over with, "Look, we didn't mean to leave you out." I tilted my head and said, "Yeah, I know." Then I opened the door and walked in. Inside, everything felt different. Not just the room, though it did look beautiful, all candlelight and warm wood and soft music, but me. For once, I wasn't scanning the door, hoping someone would show. I wasn't waiting for a surprise or checking my phone. I was just there, fully present, in my space, on my terms. I sat at the center table, the one they all used to fight over for photos, and I raised a glass to myself. Whether I was surrounded by a few new friends or just my own quiet company didn't matter. I laughed without worrying if anyone laughed with me. I ate slowly. I let the night unfold like it owed me nothing, because finally it didn't have to. There was something so freeing about it. Not just the restaurant or the cake, or the fact that I'd basically pulled off the pettiest mic drop of all time. It was that I stopped waiting. Stopped hoping for people who had shown me, year after year, where I stood on their list of priorities. And once you stop waiting for someone else to care, you start making space for yourself to matter. Later that night, my phone buzzed a few times. Predictably. One message said, "Wow, that was cold." Another one read, "You could have just said something." And the one that almost made me laugh said, "You really hurt our feelings tonight." I didn't respond. Because the truth is, this wasn't about revenge. Not really. Revenge is loud and messy and fueled by anger. This was quiet, still, intentional. It wasn't about making them feel small. It was about finally making myself feel seen. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't spiral. I didn't reread their texts or draft replies I'd never send. I just went home, kicked off my shoes, and slept better than I had in months. They forgot me. Again. But I remembered who I was. And that changed everything. The thing that really hit me, after all the drama, after the awkward stares and unread messages, was how long I'd let it happen. Not just the birthday thing, but all of it. The small ways they brushed me off, forgot me, treated my time like it didn't matter. I kept letting it slide, kept convincing myself it wasn't a big deal. Because saying nothing was easier than risking confrontation. Because part of me thought that if I just stayed patient, stayed loyal, they'd eventually show up the way I needed them to. But they didn't. And the truth is, I think deep down, I knew they never would. What scares me more than being forgotten is how used to it I had become. How I had trained myself to accept so little. A half response. A late invite. A quiet dismissal. I held on to crumbs because I was afraid there might not be a full meal out there for me somewhere else. That's what happens when you confuse connection with closeness, when you think longevity means loyalty. But let me say this, you don't have to earn your place in someone's life by shrinking in yours. You don't have to lower your expectations just to keep people around. You don't have to keep showing up for people who forget you exist the moment they close their phone. This wasn't about a restaurant. It wasn't about proving a point or getting even. It was about choosing myself, for once, boldly, publicly, without apology. And no, you don't have to buy out a fancy place to do that. Sometimes choosing yourself just means saying no to the people who only reach out when it benefits them. Sometimes it's walking away from the group chat that's gone silent one too many times. Sometimes it's just lighting your own candle, even if no one else is singing. You deserve more than being someone's afterthought. You deserve people who show up without being reminded, who remember without being prompted, who see you, even when it's not convenient for them. Reclaiming your value isn't an act of spite. It's an act of love. Self-love. And once you realize how powerful that is, you stop chasing people who can't meet you there. So yeah, they forgot my birthday again. But I finally remembered myself. And that made all the difference. Look, buying out a restaurant might not be the most practical solution for everyone, but the real message here? Don't wait for people to value you. Value yourself first. You are not too much. You are not a burden. If people keep forgetting you, maybe it's time you remember who you really are. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is walk past the people who never saw you and celebrate yourself anyway. Because being alone doesn't mean being unloved, it means being free to love yourself louder than they ever did.